Hi, I'm Diana, the artist behind My McDoodles. Welcome to my channel. Hey, welcome back. Today we'll be drawing this cute illustration that would make a really fun end of the year thank you card for a special teacher in your life. My canvas is 8.5 by 11 inches at 300 dots per inch. You can make it whatever size you wish. I just made it that size because it's easy for me to print at home, and that's plenty large enough for any kind of project I would use this for. Just make sure that your resolution is at 300 dots per inch minimum. The color palette that we'll be using today is called Candyland. It's available for Doodle Squad members. It's free and easy to join, and you'll have access to the full Doodle Squad library to download palettes, brushes, and more. The brushes that we'll be using today are free. They're either included with the Procreate app or they're over in my Doodle Squad library where you can download them for free. If you're not already a member, you can follow the link in the description below so you can have access to all these fun tools. So for this project, I'd like to make like a boho rainbow kind of thing with like an apple in the middle and just some cute lettering or some cute little like doodles around the rainbow. And that way it can be used for lots of different things like a sticker or a greeting for a teacher or even a print. I'll just go ahead and sketch out my design first so that I can get everything like in place and how I like it. So I'll just grab a sketching pencil and a dark color and just sketch out a simple design. Okay, so this is what I came up with. You can of course customize this to whatever you would want to draw. So I think boho rainbows look really cute and like most pleasing when it's like 3 or 4 levels. So I count this outer layer with like these dots as a level. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4 like stripes for the rainbow. And then I wanted to make like a little apple clicking its heels. I don't know, I just think that's cute. And the pencil like swirling around like they're really excited for the last day of school. And then you can just decorate these layers however you wish. I thought that might be fun to have like a ruler, polka dots, and like a swirly thing. But you could do one layer like lined notebook paper or like graph paper, all kinds of things. You could do like science doodles or math equations or all kinds of stuff. Just kind of use your imagination. And you might want to customize it to, if you're making it for a specific teacher, if it's a math teacher, maybe you want to put like math stuff in one of the layers or something like that. And it could be really fun to personalize it in that kind of way. So this is my sketch. I'm going to use this to loosely draw my rainbow with my ink or my paint. You could use the symmetry tool if you want it to be like perfectly symmetrical on both sides. It's up here in the canvas drawing guide, and if you click edit drawing guide you can push symmetry and then your rainbow would be like perfectly symmetrical on both sides. But I kind of like mine to be wonky and a little bit like goofy, so I'm not going to make it symmetrical. So I'm just going to press cancel there. I don't really want this drawing guide on, or at least maybe not that much of a grid. It could be helpful to see like how to end the rainbow to make it level, but let's see, it's a little bit too much. So you can always just tone it down a little or make the grid size bigger just so you have like really simple guidelines. Like something like that is better. And then you can just lighten it up here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. For my rainbow, it's going to be the like the colorful part. I'm going to use the brush called Textured, and that's available in the Doodle Squad library. So you're welcome to go download it for free. And then for like my little doodles inside, I'll probably go with this dry ink or even monoline for things that need to be a little more crisp, like the numbers and stuff like that. So I'll just go ahead and like block in the colors and then meet you back here. So I just wanted to note that I'm going to make a new layer. I'm not putting the color in this sketch layer. I'm going to use that just as a guide. I can turn it to multiply so I can always see it, put it at the very top, and then just make a new layer. You could even do a new layer for each level of the rainbow if you really want to. but I'll at least do the rainbow in one layer and then the little characters in their own layer so they're easy to kind of like move around or shrink or adjust as needed. I'm drawing in my characters and I wanted to show you a tip. So when I have something like this where I need to draw in like the pointy part of the pencil, but I wanted to line up with the edges of this like yellow paint, I draw it in a layer that's right below, and that way I can adjust it as I need to rather than worrying about my paint overlapping on the yellow. Like if I was drawing in the same layer, I can draw it below and it doesn't matter if I'm a little bit messy. And then that's really helpful to get it so that it's like lined up without worrying so much about being like super neat when you're drawing in the border. Now, of course, I need to clean that up a little, but now that I have this in, I can merge them down and then go back on my original layer and kind of just like make this part where it's sharpened a little bit neater. So that's just something I've found that's helpful, and hopefully that helps somebody else too. And I used the monoline brush for my characters because I decided I want them to be like crisp and clean, but I used the textured brush for the rainbow. And it's helpful to when you turn off your sketch, because even if it's really light, sometimes there's areas like right here that I just noticed when I turned off my sketch that I'll need to smooth out in here. So you'll notice things after like your sketch is either deleted, or I suggest turning it off and on throughout when you're drawing in your stuff so you can kind of see if there's areas you need to adjust. The other thing is that I adjusted the yellow to be a little bit more like orangish yellow. The one that's included in the Candyland palette is not as saturated, so I went ahead and just like scooched it. I went to the classic part of the menu in the brush palette, and then I can just kind of scooch it over to the area I want. So I just put it all the way up, and then a little bit over to the right to make it more saturated. So I wanted to adjust it to make it a little bit brighter, and that color worked well for me. If you're interested, the hex code is let's see, FFD 840. So I thought that that looked a little bit better than the paler yellow that was included in the palette. I don't want to upload a whole new palette for you guys just to change that one yellow, so you can adjust it as you like. So I'll just finish drawing my little characters with the monoline pen, and then we'll finish up this illustration. I've got my characters in place and my rainbow, and I want to decorate this layer of the rainbow to make it look like a ruler. I drew my characters with the monoline brush. It's available for free in the Procreate app in the calligraphy section. I just wanted the edges to look nice and crisp for those, but then I did the little details with the dry ink. Any details that I weren't sure if I was going to like the placement, like these action swirly lines and stuff like that, I did in a separate layer so that I could always adjust it or delete it easily without ruining the like the yellow pencil underneath. And then once I'm happy with it, I merge it down. So I think that looks good for my little guys. So I'll go through and decorate the ruler with either a really tiny dry ink brush or the textured brush, just make it really small, or with the monoline. You can kind of see which one you like, but when you print it out, you want it to be kind of like crisp and legible, although it'll be obvious it's a ruler once it has like those tick marks and stuff on it. So I'll go through and add those details, and then we are pretty much done with this illustration. You could add the teacher's name at the bottom with some simple text or just like a thank you. So we'll add something like that so that when we print it out, it's a nice greeting. So I'll go through and add the stuff to the ruler now. I added my marks to my ruler. I did my ruler in inches. Of course, you could do it however you want. So I put the first line here in the middle so that I could kind of like space things out nicely. The first time I did it, I ran out of room at the 10. So I decided to start in the middle and then add a tick mark at like the quarter point and then the 3/4 point. So it'd be like 3, 6, 9, and then the 12. And then add my marks in from there so that they could be sort of like evenly spaced, or at least make it to 12 inches instead of running out of room at like an odd point. You don't have to put numbers in, you could just leave it with like the tick marks. I think it's still really obvious that it's a ruler. So this is what I would like to use. If you would like to make this into a sticker, I'll show you how to do that. And if you would like to make it into a greeting, I'll also show you how to do that. For a print, you're good to go. Like this is done. So you could just like download it and print it out or get it printed at your print shop. But I'm going to make mine into a greeting card. So I'll show you how I go about that. And then we'll make a sticker to match. So first, let's make a greeting card. For a greeting card, I export this image as a PNG. So I'm going to turn off my background. So I'll export this as a PNG. You just go up here to the actions menu, push share, PNG, and then it'll export. I have a new document that's 8.5 by 11 because that's the size that I can print on my printer. So I will set this up so that it's a guide for my greeting card. When I'm making greeting cards, I would usually like to make it at the size of like 5 by 7 or 4 by 6 or something like that, where it's a little smaller. I don't want to fold an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and have this giant greeting card that doesn't really fit into any envelopes that I have on hand. So I'll make a guide. You can make a simple shape with this select tool, and then you press rectangle and color fill, and then just draw a rectangle and we can resize it later. So it's not critical that you make it at the right size at this point. I'm just gonna kind of put it like halfway up, and then it'll fill in the color automatically. And then when you use this arrow tool, you can click here and adjust your dimensions. So the halfway point would be 5.5 inches, and then it's still going to stay 8.5 inches wide because I just want to cut the paper in half. So I don't know how to change this from pixels to inches. I don't know if you can. If you know how to do that, you can put in the comments below. But I don't know how to make this go from pixels to like other units of measure. So it's 2550, and then the height will be 1650. So I was pretty close. You can just unlink it so that it allows you to make it whatever size you want and doesn't like scale it as the shape that you drew, because it might not be perfectly halfway. So if you just click this link button to unlink it. So mine's 2550 across and 1650 high. So that works out to 8.5 inches across and 5.5 inches tall. So when you have it the size you want, you just tap the screen and then tap this arrow, and now we have a guide. It didn't make it all the way to the bottom, so I'm just going to turn on snapping and just kind of scooch it down till it snaps to the very bottom. This isn't really critical because this is just kind of like a guide so you can see where to place your artwork and you can see where the halfway points are. So I can make 2 cards at once. I do have multiple teachers to make cards for, so I'll just go ahead and set it up for 2, but you could just set it up however you like. If you just want to make the one, it's fine. So that is your guide. So you know not to go above that halfway mark there. Then I go in and I import my picture. So you just go to Actions, Add, Insert a photo, and then grab your little rainbow here, and then you can resize it to the halfway mark. Now it doesn't show you where halfway is, So you could go up here to the canvas and then turn on this drawing guide and then just increase your grid size all the way. And then you have a guideline for the halfway point. So I'll resize my little rainbow to fit inside of one half of the card and then just center it. You could turn on your grid line to be 4 so that you know where the center point over here is. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. Okay, so that looks good. And then I need another one up there because I'm making 2 cards. So I'll just duplicate it, keep magnetics turned on, and then just slide it up and put it in that quadrant there. Okay, and then you could add like the teacher's name or say thank you. So you can push add text, and then choose whatever font you want. I have a font that's my own handwriting, which I have a tutorial for if you would like to know how to do that. I'll put it in the cards up here. So I'm going to say thank you and do it in my own handwriting. So then you just push edit text. And that's just like a really easy way to personalize it. And there you got your card. If you want to change the color of the text, you just tap it, push edit text, highlight it, and then choose whatever color you wish. If there's not a font that you find that you like in the Procreate library, I also have a free font available for you in the Doodle Squad library. I'll show you what it looks like, called Fun Doodle. So feel free to use that one if you like it. So I'll just duplicate that up here as well, and then we'll print it out, okay? When you're ready, if you're happy with your design, you just export it as a PNG to preserve the quality and just save it onto your iPad, and then you can print it from there. And these grid lines won't show up on your printout. If you do need a grid line to know like where to cut or something like that, you could always just make a really light gray line that's like straight across with the monoline brush and just really small and reduce the opacity so it's barely visible just so you know where to cut it. I have a paper cutter that has guides, so I'm not going to need any grid lines. So when you turn off the drawing guide, you can see all those lines go away. So that won't come out on your printed out greeting card. So I'll show you the settings I use to print mine. This is the cardstock I use. It's nice and thick, but it goes through the printer easily, and the price doesn't break the bank. I like to print from my desktop computer where I have more options. Here are the settings I use for my Canon Pixma. I do photo on plain paper, US letters, the paper size, and the scale is 100%. Now let's make a sticker. If you're using a Cricut machine, it needs to know where to cut. If you upload this to your Cricut, it's going to cut all of these individual little bits out, which is not what you want. So you can just make a white layer. It's all the way in the back. And just grab the monoline brush. And then you just draw a shape that's bigger than your design. And allow space for if the Cricut is off by a tiny bit so it doesn't cut into your design. You just draw a shape and then fill it in. You can smooth it out, make sure there's no little white gaps because it will cut any areas that are like little gaps and stuff. So that's not like the most perfect shape I've ever drawn, but you get the idea. So now when you put it through your Cricut, it will cut on this line here. If you're just cutting out regular stickers like with scissors, then you don't really need to put the white background. You can just put a bunch of these rainbows on a sheet of paper, just like resize it and add the rainbow on like an 8.5 by 11 document and just put a bunch of the rainbows and then just print it out on sticker paper and cut it out with scissors. It's a lot simpler. But if you're using a Cricut, you will need this white background. So you would export this as a PNG to upload into your Cricut design space. An easy way to set up a document for stickers you can go up here to this menu, press Canvas, turn on the drawing guide, edit the drawing guide, use the 2D grid, and then down here where it's says like the grid size, just press inches or centimeters, whatever you use. And let's say I want that sticker to be 3 inches wide. You can just set your grid size to 3 inches, and then you know how to place it and then what size to make it. Or if you want to do like inch by inch, you can just push 1 inch, and then you can quickly see how big this sticker is. So I want it to be like 3 boxes across, and then you can see how tall it is. So this sticker is going to end up being 2 inches by 3 inches. And that's a really easy way to make the stickers the appropriate size, so you don't have a bunch of them on your sheet here and then you print it out and it's a big surprise like, oh, those are way smaller than I expected, or bigger. But I think 2 by 3 is a good size for stickers for like laptops or water bottles and that kind of thing. So then you can just duplicate it and fill your sheet here, and then just print it out on white paper. And this would be for if you're cutting it out with scissors. If you're doing it on your Cricut, you need to set it up in a slightly different way, because this, if you export this as a PNG and you upload it into Cricut Design Space, it doesn't allow for a canvas this large. In Cricut Design Space, the canvas that you can print on is fairly small, 6 3/4 inches by 9 1/4. So if you imported this and then they resized it to the size of the canvas they'll allow you to print and cut, your stickers are going to come out much smaller. So if I'm doing it on my Cricut machine, I only export my original, like one of these stickers with that outline, and then I duplicate it within the Cricut Design Space app. So for now, we'll just keep it simple and like fill a sheet with that I can print on my printer and just cut out by hand. For a shape like this, it's almost easier to cut it out by hand, and it's also more cost effective because you can print more stickers on a piece of paper. Like you can fit a whole sheet of them, whereas in your Cricut, you're going to have a lot of wasted space. So you end up wasting a lot of vinyl unless you have like really creative uses to use your scraps. So that's how I set up my stickers, and I will show you what they look like when they're finished. For this project, I'm using Royal Elements Glossy White Sticker Vinyl, and my print settings are US letter, photo on photo paper, scale 100%, and again I printed from my desktop. These are waterproof, but for extra protection you can spray it with Krylon spray or use self-adhesive laminating sheets. Links are in the description of this video. I hope this project was fun for you and you're able to make some cute greetings and stickers for your teacher. If you post your work on Instagram, be sure to tag me at MyMcDoodle so I can see what you created. You can also find me at dianamcdermott.com, where you'll find my illustrations and of course the fun freebies in my Doodle Squad. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like before you go, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next fun tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.